Hey everyone, Cassie here. Today we're going to be practicing how to write some great titles and great descriptions for our video games. These are usually the first thing that a user sees when they're picking out a game to play, and so you want to make sure that you're really hitting hard with these and writing the best titles and the best descriptions that you can. So I've got a few questions that I want us to go through. Here we go. All right, so the first question is, when you're looking at a new video game, what makes you want to pick it up? What tempts you to it? I usually focus on a few things. The first thing is the art on the video game's box. I want to maybe get a sense of the characters, see a little bit of the world, and the style of the game. Then I read the title so that I can see what kind of information I can glean from that. And sometimes the titles are kind of vague, but they might have clues for me. After that, if I'm still interested in the game, I'll look at the back of the box and read the description that the game has. And if I'm still interested in that point, if the description pulls me in, I'll maybe go check out some videos on YouTube before I buy the game, but those are the big things that I look for. So my next question is, what kinds of video game titles stand out the most? Me personally, I like video game titles that are a little bit mysterious. Maybe they're a play on words, or maybe they're just intriguing, or they sound interesting. And that brings me to the description. What do I expect when I read the description of a video game? I like when that description gives me a sense of what the game is going to be about, what I'm doing in the game, and why that matters, why that's exciting. I want the description to make me want to play the game. And so I'm going to show you a few examples of great video game titles out there and tell you why they work so well. The first one is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. This is an awesome game. And so the title starts out with that Legend of Zelda tagline. And this is important because the game is part of a series, and a really popular series at that. So I know when I look at this, hey, The Legend of Zelda, I like other Zelda games. Maybe I should play this one. And then Breath of the Wild as a tagline works really well because the big draw of this game is the huge open world. And Breath of the Wild evokes that along with the awesome game art that we're seeing here. And so I love those games that let me explore and let me do whatever I want, basically. And so the title kind of clues me in that that's what's going on in this game. The next example is a game I know you've heard of, which is Minecraft. This title works so well because it tells you exactly what you're going to be doing in the game. You're going to be digging holes and mining, and you're going to be crafting stuff with the resources that you gather. And so it's short, it's simple, it's to the point, but it's catchy, it's memorable, it draws me in. And then the last example I'm going to give you, at least of a game that you can buy for your consoles or your PC, is Super Mario Odyssey. Now this one is kind of similar to Breath of the Wild because it's using that billing of something recognizable. We all know who Mario is. We all know when we see him, hey, that's Mario. And we kind of know what kind of game we're in for. So people who like those sorts of games, people who like Mario, are going to see Super Mario Odyssey. I gotta play that. And then also, let's focus on the Odyssey part of the title. This works really well because it references a part of the game. The ship that you're traveling on is called the Odyssey, but it also references classic literature. It references the Odyssey by Homer. And so I know that this game is going to have Mario go on some kind of adventure, some kind of journey. And I like those sorts of games, so I'm drawn in by this. So those are some examples of retail games made by Nintendo and Microsoft and all these other people. The next ones I want to show you are some examples from GameStar Mechanic, games that actual kids like you have made. And I want to make it clear, I have blocked out the usernames for these games. I'm not trying to shame anyone. We're using this as a learning experience. So the first one I want to show you is Save the Town. Now the title, it's okay. It tells me that I'm going to be saving a town, which is good, but it's also not super catchy or mysterious. I know exactly what to expect from this game, and I'm not excited by it. Even so, reading the description, it doesn't give me anything more. It tells me that I'm going to be killing bears, but it's just kind of repeating what the title already said. And so I want more from this one. I think this one could have used a little more time in the oven. Next up is Eliminator. The description for this one is, Eliminator, the most challenging game ever. If you get through this, you a great man. Okay, so the title is kind of interesting. It catches my eye and I'm thinking, what am I eliminating? Am I the eliminator? I have questions and I want them answered, and the only way really to answer them is either reading the description or playing the game. Now, the description is, I think, where this one kind of falls apart. It still doesn't tell me much about eliminating and what I'm eliminating. It doesn't answer any of those questions. Instead, it just kind of gives me these two weird sentences. So, the most challenging game ever, it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel authentic because it's something that the creator made up. Now, games will do this a lot where they put quotes from reviewers or YouTubers on their game box, and it'll say, like, this is one of the greatest games ever made, says a reviewer on IGN. And that one has a little more credibility because it's not coming from the person who made the game. This description is. So that doesn't really work for me. I guess maybe I'm interested if whether I'll be able to beat the most challenging game ever, but that's kind of undercut by this next sentence. If you get through this, you a great man. I don't like this because I'm a woman. I don't want to be a great man. And so this game description is kind of excluding me. It's telling me, well, this game isn't really for you. And I don't like that. I don't like that because it doesn't feel good for me. And if I was making this game, I wouldn't like the idea that somebody would look at my game and say, like, hey, I'm not allowed to play that. I'm not good enough to play that. And so that kind of stinks about this description. So make sure you're not excluding anyone from your audience when you write a description. Like, the creator could have easily written, if you beat this, you're great at video games. And that works better because it's not excluding anyone, and it's also presenting a challenge. I want to be great at video games, so I'm going to try this game. So again, this one maybe needed a little more thought and a little more effort. And then the last one I want to show you is Keepers of the Undead. The description for this game says, it's part 1 of the Lux Chronicles. You're Carrie, a 12-year-old girl who has recently moved to the haunted town of Girlington. When she and her best friend Emma explore the town, they find zombies, and Carrie quickly becomes a keeper of the undead, a member of a secret society that tries to kill all of the ghosts, mummies, zombies, and vampires left on Earth. On the job, she has to kill the rest of each, but what she doesn't know is that she's been deceived. So focusing just on the title, this is awesome. It tells me that there's going to be undead in this game, so like zombies, and I'm always down for a game about zombies. So that alone brings me in. But also Keepers of the Undead is kind of intriguing because I'm wondering, who's the keeper of the undead? Am I? Is somebody else? And so that brings me into the game a little bit. And then the description is super detailed. It tells me exactly the setting, exactly the characters, and the overall premise of the game. So I've got an idea of what to expect. But it also leaves a little mystery. Carrie doesn't know that she's been deceived, and so I want to know who deceived Carrie. Why did they deceive Carrie? And how will that play out in the narrative? So I need to play this game to have those questions answered. And so this title works really well. The description works really well because it makes me want to play the game. And that's really what we're looking for. We want the person that reads your title and description to want to play the game. I'm sure you've noticed when you've gone through Steam or the PlayStation Store or the eShop or the Xbox Store, there's a lot of games out there. There are a lot of games on GameStar Mechanic, and all of these games are competing for players and competing for players' attention. And so you want the first foot you put forward, that title and description, to draw people in and make them want to play that game. You want them to scroll through that store and immediately see yours and be like, that's a game I need to play. So I want you to think about this as you're writing your titles and descriptions and kind of workshop them. Make sure that title is mysterious, it's to the point, and make sure that description really adds a lot. Have fun making your games. I'm happy to workshop some titles and descriptions with you, and I look forward to seeing you out there on the game alley.